The Greek island of Corfu has been a preferred holiday destination of many people for many years now. It's known for its beaches and paradise-looking landscape, but that's not really what I found when I've recently visited. In its stillness, I found the island to be intriguing, disconnected at points, and in many ways a physical metaphor of silence. I arrived in Greece with no sense of direction. I found myself contemplating directions to take, weighing the risks of adultness, whilst grasping with the feeling of life like sand escaping through my hands. However, someone had told me right before I left that sometimes getting away is a much needed answer to find a new perspective. And she was right. In Greece I found this silence, this serenity, and that is what I was determined to capture with my photos. This newfound rhythm of slowness, of indulgence, if you will, within the island's landscape, within time itself. And for most days, I just simply loaded my cameras and took a walk or a drive with no defined destination to see what I could find. And while I mostly shot color film, it's actually the black and white images that speak to me the most. In particular, this image of this father and son preparing their boat to go fishing. Perhaps because this photo, along with the other black and white photos, feel like an extension of that sentiment I experienced in the island. That stillness and silence. And I like this particular composition because when I break it down, there's many elements that help this nostalgic feeling already created by the black and white. The fact that none of them is looking in the direction of my camera, the abandoned planks and the misplaced anchor, the contrast in the waters, and the bird's eye perspective over the scene itself. At least that's what I wrote in my reflections of this trip. And we're going to briefly interrupt our story here to talk about Filmora's newly launched campaign called Filmora Fun Collage, where you can basically pick one of the many creative templates available within Filmora to edit your video effortlessly. And no matter what the subject is, whether it's a personal vlog or a documentary essay, these templates can help your video become more visually appealing and a more interactive watch. Filmora has been a recurrent sponsor here on the channel, and I have personally used Filmora to edit some of my videos in Reels, so I'm definitely acquainted now with their simple and intuitive workflow as well as with all the creative options the software offers, in particular now with the collage section. And to use one of these collages, you can open your Filmora software and then select Fun Collage from your video tab menu, and this can be done in both Filmora's desktop and app versions. Then select the one that best suits your needs, which you can begin customizing with photos, videos, and other elements, adjusting colors and even adding animation effects, whilst also controlling the speed and duration of the clip. Once you're done, export in whatever options are best for you, and to participate in the campaign you have to create your collage through the Filmora app before the 20th of June. Share it on social media with the hashtag FilmoraFunCollage, whilst also tagging Filmora. You have to also make sure your content doesn't infringe the intellectual property rights of others, and boom, you get a chance at winning some really cool prizes. So if this interests you, links are down below for Filmora, but also for more information, and I'd like to thank Filmora for kindly sponsoring a portion of today's video. And now let's go back to Greece. And in my first days, I was told by several locals that I had visited the island in a time where most people wouldn't. And that summer usually brings life, that the island itself, as they say, transforms into the image everyone has of Corfu. And when I asked people which of these two Corfus they preferred, I was mostly told the Corfu I was now seeing. And naturally, this made me want to see more. In driving around, everything seemed slightly disconnected. There were many houses that stood far from each other, some completely isolated in valleys and hills. The odd cafe or restaurant stood here and there, and I was kind of surprised by the many abandoned places and things I kept seeing. We were told by one of the many Christos we met, yes, because everyone in the island seemed to be named Christos, but this particular Christos told us that the people of Corfu have no rush, that to them life is simple, that children still play on the streets these days, there's a sense of security and safety, and that I may see many abandoned things now, but someday someone will pick it up and rebuild it or reuse it in some way. And without knowing Christos and the people I met, this place where I now was had been the perfect choice, the perfect destination. Because within my restlessness for doing more and the anxiety of am I doing enough with my life, my photography, my YouTube videos, I was suddenly confronted with the idea that something was abandoned, and while it remains abandoned now, someone will come forward to do something with it at some point in time. And in the meantime, we're not sweating about it, but rather embracing it as part of the reality we live in. This made me to pause, to realize that as photographers and creatives, we more often than not create these expectations of ourselves, these goals, and in trying to execute our plan of action, also labeled getting our shit together, we find ourselves at times lost in an unpredictable chaos. So, this time in Greece, Corfu in particular, taught me that sometimes it's good to take a break and breathe, just for the pure enjoyment that comes with it. And light, and the way it hits some chairs, and the excitement of spotting it and capturing it so that we can see how it looks photographed, a cheeky self-portrait, just because everything looks so toned down and you find yourself at the right angle to be reflected. Let's put it this way. Corfu has reminded me to photograph just for the sake of doing it. Because I want to see what things look like photographed sometimes. Sometimes I just want to burn an entire roll in trying different compositions of the same thing so I can learn which one works better and why. At the end of the day, I could sit here and elaborate on why I photograph, why I love photography, and I can give you so many reasons, yet I would have probably forgotten one simple principle. If it wasn't for Corfu, of course. Because I enjoy it. And for some reason, while writing this and reflecting on my time in Corfu, I kept thinking of a book I read a long time ago. And whilst researching its author, Jack London, I came across this. The ghostly winter silence had given way to the great spring murmur of awakening life. Which, I have to say, I find quite fitting.